So I don't know how many of you saw this on Twitter or in, yes, TTS2. I don't know how many of you have seen this either through a Twitter post, I post about this on Twitter, or through the news. Apparently, a quote-unquote professor at Nottingham University in the UK is saying that in order to pass the class, you have to agree that Tolkien and Lord of the Rings is a work of racism. That is what this article is saying. This teacher is teaching students that J.R.R. Tolkien demonizes people of color in the Lord of the Ring books. Okay? And in a module called Decolonizing Tolkien et al. At the University of Nottingham. Using a text that says, orcs and other dark-skinned characters in the trilogy are the victims of ethnic chauvinism. This is supposedly an educator at the University of Nottingham in the UK. Okay, it is Dr. Onyeka Nubia. And basically his entire course at the University of Nottingham is basically saying white people are evil. Effectively speaking, his whole thing is about decolonizing, which is re-examining or moving away from white Western viewpoints. So basically, this doctor is racist. He is a racist against white people, and he has been given an educative platform to spread this racism. So in his module text, he writes that maligned peoples include Easterlings, Southrons, and men from Harad. Trilogy also features the dark-skinned orcs, evil creatures that do the bidding of Sauron, known as the Dark Lord. You notice how they have it in quotations. Like the fact that Dark Lord is not simply representative of evil, but dark skin. He's equating Sauron being known as the Dark Lord to Sauron having dark skin, which, as you may recall, pretty sure Sauron didn't have dark skin. And it adds that his treatment of the fictional races shares in a tradition of anti-African antipathy, in which people from Africa are painted as the natural enemy of the white man. This person is trying to say that J.R.R. Tolkien is a racist, and the fact that he injected a ton of racism into the fantasy story of Lord of the Rings. Okay? But he doesn't stop with Tolkien. He does not stop with Tolkien. He also says that C.S. Lewis's Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe is also racist. The fantasy novel have long been seen by some, i.e. racists, as exhibiting Oriental stereotypes. They are described as cool people with long beards and orange-colored turbans. Students in the course in Nottingham will also learn to repopulate the canon of British myths and legends. So this racist is teaching his students to change British myth and legend to fit with their racist narrative. That is what this person is doing. this racist is saying that, you know, this racist African individual, because he's from Africa, this racist African is teaching in a British university. Remember, this person is teaching in a British university, the University of Nottingham. Is teaching people of Britain that one of Britain's favorite sons, J.R.R. Tolkien, and C.S. Lewis, one of the foremost fictional writers in generations, one of the most prolific fantasy writers of all time. Remember, J.R.R. Tolkien can be considered singly responsible for all fantasy, the entire fantasy genre that we know today. Every single fantasy genre that we've seen. Lord of the Rings, obviously. Every fucking Dungeons and Dragons edition that has ever been made. Pathfinder. Game of Thrones. You know, all of the high fantasy that people love so dearly is a direct Warcraft, another one. All of this is a direct result of J.R.R. Tolkien. His Lord of the Rings trilogy is what made high fantasy a thing. It is what has birthed so many different games, so many different stories, so many different mythical worlds. Like, too many to list off. All of them stemmed from J.R.R. Tolkien's works. The man literally invented a language with Elvish. The Elvish language was literally invented by J.R.R. Tolkien for Lord of the Rings. Practically every fantasy author, game creator, what have you, even some sci-fi as well, owe their games, their stories, their movies to J.R.R. Tolkien. And this person says, you're all wrong. J.R.R. Tolkien is a racist, and he injected his racism into these classic stories that are the inception of high fantasy. According to this person, you should actually hate it because supposedly he was racist. Because he created orcs as an evil race and is projecting his own racism by saying the orcs must represent black people. Now, who is this racist individual of Dr. Onika Nubia? Well, here is his contact. He is in the University of Nottingham. So this is him right here. A pioneering and internationally recognized historian, writer, and presenter. His current works include Reinventing Our Perceptions of the Renaissance, British History, Black Studies, and Intersectionalism. Is anyone shocked that this is about intersectionalism? And by the way, reinventing our perceptions of history. So this person is trying to basically change history. This individual is trying to DEI history. He wants to change history. So it is no longer history, but it's history that works for his narrative. That's what he wants. Because notice, he's the writer of blackamoors Africans in Tudor England and England's other countrymen. And supposedly has helped academia and the general public to an entirely new perspective on the otherness, colonialism, imperialism, and the Black British contribution to World Wars I and II. So this man is racist against white people. This individual hates white people. Because only an individual that hates white people would make the claim that J.R.R. Tolkien is racist because he has orcs in his novels. And he is projecting himself into the orcs, which I would beg the question, why do black people feel the need? Why do black people that consider Lord of the Rings racist with the orcs, why are they projecting themselves into the orcs? Why are they projecting themselves, being black individuals, into the role of the orcs? Is it just so they can basically claim victimhood? Because I suspect that's the whole reason why, is so they can claim victimhood. Correct. Yes, orcs are not, nor have they ever been an allegory for black people. That is strictly a DEI activist agenda to try and basically say that anyone who enjoys Lord of the Rings, unless you agree with them, is a, card-carrying racist and should be hated. This is once again activism trying to take away from people. They want to take away something wonderful because people enjoy it and they say, oh no, we say that the orcs have to be black and it's racist if you don't agree it. So if you don't agree, you're a racist and we have to take that away from you. They are projecting heavily. And what do you want to bet that I would wager? I tried to see it. I couldn't find any evidence. Couldn't find any evidence of it. But what do you want to bet that Wizards of the Coast was in contact with this person? What do you want to bet that Wizards of the Coast spoke with this person and this person said, you realize that orcs are racist, right? You should really change that in Dungeons & Dragons so they're not stereotyped as racist. And that's why we've seen changes with the orcs in the current iterations of Dungeons & Dragons, so they're no longer the mindless beasts that are bad guys. And it also would not surprise me if this person actually spoke with Amazon. Because if I'm not mistaken, Lord of the Rings was filmed in the UK. If I'm remembering correctly, the Rings of Power, not the movie, sorry, let me be specific. Not the movie Lord of the Rings, but the Rings of Power Amazon series was filmed in the UK, as I recall. What do you want to bet? This person was there advising Amazon and the production team when it came to the orcs. Because isn't it so interesting that in Rings of Power, the orcs were no longer corrupted elves that were like a war machine, that were basically the evil creatures of Middle-earth. All of a sudden in Rings of Power, the orcs were family men and women. They had babies. They had babies and they were caring and they were loving. Now, I have no idea if he has spoken to WotC. I have no idea if he was consulting with Amazon on Rings of Power when they were filming in the UK. I'm not claiming to have any evidence to support this. Bear that in mind. I'm not claiming any evidence to this fact. I'm not stating it as factual. I'm saying, given the changes that we have seen in D&D, given what we saw in Rings of Power, and given what this man is teaching at the University of Nottingham, In regards to Lord of the Rings, it would not surprise me if he was somehow involved, if he was an advisor of something. Well, Zep, I appreciate the changes have been happening for a while. This man is not young, and his position is not, and his work is not new. I'm just saying, it's interesting. Very interesting coincidence. That's all I'm saying. Again, no evidence, no proof. This is all supposition. It is all strictly supposition. But I do find it very interesting.